Welcome to the week ahead for financial markets. Mike Smith, Head of Client Education and Trading with you to lead you around what may be happening over the next few days that may influence market sentiment. As always, we've identified our top 5 market moving factors that we think could have influence. We're going to start by looking at the major indices. Now, despite everything that's been thrown at markets over the last few months, the Nasdaq and the S&P 500 closed on Friday at end of February highs, around about the 21st of February. I think it was last at these levels. And the question is there momentum for another 2%? What that would do would reach previous record highs. Let's just have a quick look at a chart of the Nasdaq, and you can see that we've had this significant run up. The Magnificent Seven have performed very well indeed. You can see this retracement that we had, a pause underneath 21,484 on the futures contract, and that move up on Friday. A little soft in Asia today, but you can see this level here. If we look at Friday's high at 21,781, that is only, if we look at the highs from February, 1.78% from those record highs. It was also a key level, of course, in December as well. So we'll keep an eye on those, but that appears to be what's on the cards. The question is there buy momentum to take us out of this short-term range, test that high? Of course, the data doesn't stop coming, and on the 11th, we've got the next round of inflation data coming out of the US with the CPI due an hour before market opens. And the question is, do we start to see any impact of tariffs? The Fed look as though they're still likely to pause not only in June, but also potentially now in July. Any warm data would likely to see that extend further before they cut rates next. This data could be really important. Of course, trade talks continue to be on the agenda. Last week's increase in tariffs to 50% on aluminium and steel was noteworthy. Of course, the major protagonists are the US and China. There are talks scheduled this week. It'd be interesting to see if there is anything positive comes out of those that may suggest a constructive way forward as that 90-day deadline gets closer before tariffs are raised again. One of the stories of the year today has been the performance of gold, but it looks as though momentum in gold may be slightly off the boil. You can see here we are back down around about this 3,300, which is becoming an increasingly important technical level. This looks like a little bit of a double top that's formed here over the last 3 weeks, and a breach of 3,300 could see us drop fairly significantly down back towards 3,200. One to watch at this stage in Asia, it's holding up okay. We had a slight gap up, a test to the downside of 3,300 and a little bounce off that. So this, as I said, is worth keeping an eye on. Potential short opportunity in the short term or a move down to 3,200, maybe on the cards. And the G7 summit is this week. Now, normally very little influence on markets from this get together of the major economies. However, with trade and the geopolitical situation both in Ukraine and the Middle East high on the agenda, perhaps the narrative that comes out of that may have some bite in terms of how markets are feeling generally. As I said, not one that usually I would reference, but in this case, with what's happening right now, it may be worth keeping an eye on. So there's your 5. Most importantly, we are likely to see continued volatility intraday. So just trade safe, make sure you are managing risk accordingly. And of course, you can tune in to our live market updates on a Monday and Thursday lunchtime. And we have our inner circle session on a Wednesday. This week, we are looking at share CFDs. For those of you who traded shares, this might be an interesting add to your trading toolbox. Make sure you don't miss it. Look forward to seeing you there. And of course, don't forget, we're always here to help. Connect with our support team, and they will answer whatever questions and queries you have. Trade safe and see you again soon. Bye-bye for now.